I was charged a different amount than what was presented. Now, before we dive in, just a quick reminder. This video is for informational and entertainment purposes only, and should not be considered financial advice. Our full disclaimer is shown here and on our website. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Finance of Anthony. So today we're going to be tackling a few unique topics. The first one is going to be centered more around real estate. The second one is going to be more centered around investments. And the third one is dealing more with unique financial situations, such as paying down credit card debts or adjusting your budget based on what your needs are. So let's dive right into some stories right here on the Personal Finance Reddit. So the first story is, what should I do with REI proceeds? So what is REI proceeds? So that's real estate investment proceeds, basically. I know these posts are a bit silly because personal finance is personal, but we're looking at different perspectives and get ideas. I have a property I am selling and will net about $400K before taxes, $350K probably after tax. I can 1031 the proceeds, save/defer the $40-50K in taxes, but have to find, purchase, and manage a new property or find a PM to do so. Take the tax hit and invest in public REITs or other funds. Take the tax hit and invest in syndications. I hate the effort first of paying the taxes, but not super keen on finding/purchasing/managing a property either. Financially, the 1031 makes the most sense, better returns, better tax treatment, etc. Being more passive is also appealing. What would you do, and why? Or are there other options? Married, kids, at least a decade from retirement, MCOL area. So this is a very interesting topic overall. So what this person is talking about is something called a 1031 exchange. So a 1031 exchange, usually what it happens is you can actually sell your property as long as you declare that you're going to be having a 1031 exchange upon sale of the property. You actually have 2 years to actually find another property, and that will allow you to actually defer your taxes as long as you buy a similar property to the one you sold. So what are his options here, or his or her options? I would say, it depends on what route they want to take. From what I'm seeing here, they do seem to want something that's a little bit more passive in nature. So in this case, they can actually, take the tax hit, which would be like 40-50K from what the post said. And they can either do REITs, they could do EFTs. So essentially they could invest in something that's more passive. However, then you would also take the hit on, of course, the, the tax piece. However, the other option is they can, if they're okay with actually hiring a property management company, then, they can actually get a higher return on investment this way. And the reason I say that is because they'll have more money to play with. So they'll have effectively $400K to buy a new property. And then what they could do is they can actually decide to actually make the property a rental property. So you could buy a multifamily, for example, and then rent one side out. And depending on the loan person, or if you decide to buy it out flat out cash, you can actually buy both properties, so let's say 2 properties, and then rent out both of them and have income from both of them, and then also just use the property management company to manage those aspects. Of course, it won't be fully, kind of you just lay back and you just drink margaritas and you're good, but it will be more passive in nature if you do use a property management company, which is what I do. So I would say, depending on what your avenue is, I personally would have done buying the property, having a property management company manage it, and then you have rental income and a bunch of deductions that you can have every year when you file your taxes, such as property taxes, insurance, pretty much every single fee under the book, depreciation, will be available to you if you actually decide to go this route. So let's move on to the next one. Should I take a loss on my Roth IRA? Hello everyone, thanks for reading. I'm a single male with a mortgage that costs me $22.50 monthly, and I am consider selling all my stock in my Roth IRA to recast my loan. I spoke with M&T Bank, who owns my loan, and they told me I'm eligible for a recast if I'm interested. My monthly take home is $4,200. I get by, but some breathing room would be nice to enjoy life more and have more money to fix up my home. It's my first time and very much at a fixer-upper. It's my first home and very much a fixer-upper. If I sell my stocks, I'll walk away with $92 to $95K. That's after the 10% penalty and income tax taken out. Was told it would drop my monthly mortgage payment down to $1,670, give or take. All that is good, but my biggest stock is NVIDIA, which I invested in years ago and has done very well for me. If I do this, I would lose around $40K to penalties and income tax. How many of you think this is a good or a bad idea? Edit. Thanks for everyone for your feedback. It's greatly appreciated. I'm going to hold on to my stocks and enjoy watching them grow. So, looking at let's just talk through Roth IRA. So, Roth IRA is an account that allows your money to grow post-tax. So essentially, you put money into here post-tax, and also anything that grows within the account will also be effectively, grow post-tax. However, what's the great thing about that? Anything that grows in a Roth IRA usually is not taxable once you retire. So if you meet the retirement age of being able to withdraw from the account, then you can actually reap all the benefits of everything that's grown in there. So personally, what I would say is you should never ever sell stuff that's in your Roth IRA in order to get into another investment. Usually anything that's within a Roth IRA, you should keep it in there and of course continue to build with it. Funny enough, with a Roth IRA, you can actually go out to buy a home with that same Roth IRA. So you can actually use what's in the Roth IRA, go buy a house, and even the house you bought with your Roth IRA will also not be taxed. So you can continue to build the Roth IRA with a home. You can even sell the home and it will continue to be tax-free. So everything that would be gained on that would continue to build, continue to develop. So having a Roth IRA with that kind of balance is actually very powerful and potential and can lead to a lot of great investments. So let's move on to the next story. Accumulated about 10K of credit card debt during a 10-year depressive period with multiple manic episodes, trying desperately to pay it off. I have bipolar disorder. I have gone through an extreme depressive period with a couple of manic episodes. I finally got my medication sorted out, I hope, and I'm in a much more stable mental state. I'm really embarrassed, but I've accumulated 10K of debt during this time, spending money on trips and unneeded purchases. Just excess spend it all around. I have 6K on one card and 3K on another. I have good credit, thank God, and I'm thinking I should get a small personal loan and aggressively pay it off. Again, very embarrassing, but I made good money and should feasibly be able to pay off the cards fast. But I think my living expenses are making that harder for me. I have 6K in my employee stock purchase plan. Should I cash that out and pay off my cards? Monthly expenses are $4,800 in after taxes, $700 to savings, $27 to 401k, $1960 to rent, $450 to car payments, $200 to car insurance, $80 to internet cable, $100 to phone, $300 to minimum payments to cards, $75-ish to streaming services. Sometimes I feel like I'm dipping into my savings more than I'd like. I only have $1,500 in savings right now. I'm so embarrassed that I'd rather ask for help anonymously on the internet than talk to my friends and family about this. I know critical comments come with the territory here. I'd just like some perspective and advice. The debt I am in is due to abnormal spending habits, and I'm usually very responsible with paying off my cards. Thanks in advance. So I would say the first thing you need to look at is look at the interest rate that cards charge. In most cases, credit cards charge between 20 to 35% interest. In most cases, a personal loan in this current economy will probably charge you between 8 to 10%. So that's a huge, huge difference and will reduce the amount of interest that you're paying overall on these cards. So that's the first thing. The first thing you should probably look at is the card, see if there's any 0% APR offers on them. If there isn't, and you will have to pay interest on any open balances, then definitely see if you could go out to your bank, get a personal loan. Sometimes banks like Citibank, for example, will actually have a personal loan program that you can sign up for, whether it's through their credit card or you can actually get a straight up personal loan from the online portal. Once you sign up for the online, this personal loan, pay off all your credit card debt, and then your personal will become your new monthly payment. The next thing I would say is look for ways to actually reduce your monthly expenses. Sometimes you may have in this case, you have a lot of streaming services, for example, around $75. See if you're actually utilizing all these streaming services, for example. Maybe there might be some you can cut, you can minimize, you can compress things. Maybe find alternate avenues to find things that you enjoy. So there's definitely a lot of options out there, and I would say try to minimize your expenses while, of course, maximizing the amount that you pay on your personal loans and credit cards, of course. Alrighty, so let's move on to the next one. Hello everyone, my name is Anthony and I'm the host of TheLostSanctuary. I hope you've been enjoying our content so far, and if you have, please feel free to like and subscribe. Also, we have our website up here, and we also have some socials down here, and as always, leave your comments down below. I was charged a different amount than what was presented. I went out to a restaurant where I got a $15 burger and one drink. And when I looked at my bill, I was charged $50. I know drinks are expensive in Chicago, but I've never heard of a vodka soda being $35. I was never given a printed receipt because I was charged through an electronic device, so I'm not sure if I can dispute it. Should I call the restaurant and explain my situation? I have a feeling they're not going to do anything about it. My mom told me it's not worth disputing at the bank because I don't have enough evidence, but I'm fresh out of college student, and $50 is a lot to me. So here's the great news. So usually a lot of these electronic processors should be able to give you an itemized receipt of all the charges that occurred that period. So for example, if you feel that you might have been overcharged for your meal, you should be able to actually go to the restaurant or call up the restaurant and say, hey, I want an itemized bill of everything that was charged, so you can yourself see what you were charged and effectively see if you were like kind of overbilled, because there is a lot of cases where the things will be tacked on to your bill that might not have been there in the first place. So funny enough, I actually went out to a restaurant once myself, and someone actually added a margarita to my tab, and I never even got a margarita. So overall, it's great to always make sure you have an itemized list to actually look over the receipt and make sure that you were billed exactly what you ordered. Because it's very easy for a restaurant or an employee to actually tack something on, kind of, effectively skim something off the top, and then you're the one paying for it. And you don't want that. You don't want to be the one paying for that stuff. So let's move on to the next one and see what other stories we got here. My brother paid me back money I lent him and wants to add interest too. How would I calculate that? My brother paid me back after 9 years. It wasn't a huge amount in my mind, not even a loan/money I counted on getting back. Insisting on giving me something additional to account for interest to make me whole. Told him not to worry about it, but he says he wants to be fair to pay back what that amount would have grown to for me after 9 years. I have no clue. It would depend on the savings vehicle, such as investment, rate of returns as interest, compounded daily, monthly, yearly, right? I suck at understanding all that stuff. Is there a simple formula I could use? I am still not comfortable charging him this, but now I'm curious too. I had friends who moved back home and after graduating college and their parents charged them rent to live at home only to return the rent payments plus interest after they moved out. I think it would be the same formula, but what is it? Thanks. So, you bring up a very great question here. So, I would say when it comes to calculating interest on a loan that you yourself have given out, the best way to calculate it is based on like what is the market rate. So you could actually look at what the market rate was for those 9 years, and then you could do a lot of methodologies. So you could actually calculate based on like an average of those 9 years, like the average rate of return over the 9 years, and then see what that would be. So the great thing is there's actually a financial calculator you can buy, and then based on the percentages you input into the financial calculator, it will actually tell you, like, for example, if you had X amount, what would it be worth at this average rate of return over 9 years? And that should give you an idea of how much it's worth. But in this case, it's your family, and I would say, as long as you get your principal back, which is more than what most people get, then, that should be sufficient. Now, if they insist that they want to, pay you back a little bit more, then, I would say use that instead to, that interest that would have been paid to you. Maybe use that to go out to dinner once in a while, reconnect with your family, maybe go on a vacation. I feel like sometimes, like, you can get the interest back, monetarily, that would be great. But at the same time, like, I feel like more than anything, building relationships is even more critical. So if you can actually go out to dinner, have some fun, have some activities, go golfing, I feel like any activity you can think of, just do it. Do it with your family, and that's going to be more important than any interest that you ever get. But for tax purposes, if you do decide to charge them interest, make sure you use the market rate, because if not, then yeah, you're gonna be the one paying the interest yourself. So, alrighty, so let's move on to the next one. Am consider renting out rooms in my house. Alright, so let's see. So my mother and I own a home with 4 rooms, and 2 of them sit empty. We have a mortgage of about $1,400 while my mother gets SSDI, and I have a job that pays around $1,500. I'm thinking we should consider renting out rooms to help with an extra expense. Anyone have any tips on what to do or avoid, or how much to charge? So this is a very interesting question. So usually the going rate for a room, depending on what city it is, usually is between $500 to up to $1,500 per month. So this is going to be based on like where you're located, is it a desirable area? All these kinds of factors are great. The other thing about if you do decide to rent a room in a place, you can actually have tax benefits of doing that. So you can actually deduct a portion of your utilities. You can actually deduct that space as depreciation if you own the house. So a lot of great things to do it. Most people call this, by the way, house hacking. So basically you're like, renting out a portion of your home and trying to get some income from it. So there's a lot of great, opportunities to do that, especially, of course, the most important thing is like, hey, you're getting money in there. But this is critical. If you have the ability to and you want to really rent to someone, make sure you're doing all of the bells and whistles that you need to. First of all, you should do a background check. You should really be running their credit, checking all their background, their income, kind of doing a whole slew of things before you let anyone in your home. Because you never know what kind of people are out there, what they could do to, God forbid, your family. So make sure you're running like the whole 9 yards, running a full check on them, making sure they're clear everything. And then overall, based on that, you can actually see if they're worth renting. So you gotta look at their activity, not just their financial activity, but their background, see if they had any delinquencies or anything strange on their records. And you want to make sure you're not renting to someone who can, God forbid, hurt your family. So overall, lots of great benefits doing house hacking, and will boost the amount of money that will come into your home. And also, especially if it's a space that you're not using, then utilize it for things that will bring you more money back, more ROI, and more money in your pocket. So with this, we're going to call it. So this has been Finance with Anthony, episode 16. I hope everyone out there has a blessed day, and adios. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job, and I'm wishing everyone out there all the best. All right, until next time, adios.